Justin Trudeau and the Canada Liberals are looking to get to net zero by making us get rid of our regular internal combustion cars and trying to move everybody into electric vehicles in 11 years. They want us to get rid of our cars and get electric cars, but where's the infrastructure? And what's it going to cost for the infrastructure? And how much is it going to cost each of us to run an electric car from our homes or for work? We have Colin Craig on the radio today explaining a little bit more as to why he couldn't even find any of this information, because the government do not want you to know, or they haven't even worked it out themselves yet, and we've got 11 years. Let's have a listen.
Well, the big number that's missing is the cost of people's power bills as a huge wave of Canadians start to use electric cars. As you alluded to, Ottawa's pushing everyone to be driving electric cars. They're going to be banning the sale of new gas-powered vehicles by 2035. So when you go on a new car lot in 2035, you're not going to find gas-powered vehicles. So that's what Ottawa's doing. They're trying to get everyone onto electric cars, and that has huge implications to our electricity grids right across the country. I mean, you mentioned one example, which is the distribution systems. So these are the power lines and the systems that connect houses. You'll see every once in a while in Toronto there, you'll find some huge transformers and so forth. So those systems need to be upgraded. There's going to need to be new power sources. We may need new transmission lines and that. It's a pretty significant change, because, of course, electric cars require a lot of electricity.
So do we have an actual estimate of how much it's going to cost people to charge their cars up?
It could be upwards of a 25 to 35% increase in terms of how much electricity a household uses if you get an electric car. Now, if you have two cars and you have to get two electric cars, well, obviously you're going to require a lot of electricity. So all of this to say, we wondered, well, what is this going to do to people's power bills to pay for all these upgrades to electricity systems? And what we actually found was that nowhere in Canada we couldn't find any estimates as to what it's going to do.
Okay, so this is the crazy thing about this. Ontario and the Liberal government have spent billions, almost $30 billion on pumping up the electric vehicle companies and creating electric batteries and pushing the electric agenda. But this guy, he asked for information regarding the costing of all this, public information request, and they didn't have anything. They don't have a plan to do this. This is absolutely bonkers, guys. No plan.
Ottawa, I think, would say that they have some estimates as to what this is going to cost overall in Canada. But we have to remember that, first of all, this is Ottawa's policy. This isn't the provincial government in any province that's really coming up. But a couple of them are pushing towards electric cars. But this is really Ottawa saying nationwide Canadians are going to have to stop driving gas-powered vehicles. So it begs, I think it would be completely responsible to also say, okay, well, what is this going to cost people through their power bills to make this huge transition? Figure that out first before going headlong into pushing everyone towards driving electric cars. And we just can't find the information, but it should be broken out by province, because different provinces are going to be affected differently.
Sure.
Right? I mean, if you're in Ontario, or in Quebec or Manitoba, where you have lots and lots of hydroelectric power, it's probably going to be a little bit easier to manage this transition than in other provinces. I think it will still be challenging in those provinces, but Ontario relies more on gas. Certainly Alberta, Saskatchewan do as well. So there's a whole bunch of moving parts here, and it just certainly seems like the homework wasn't done ahead of time.
I don't think the government have done the homework at all on this. This is going to cost so much money that Canada's just going to go broke doing it. And for what? Canada's emissions over the whole globe of the world is like 2%. Like, if we're going to stop emissions and stuff, let's do it from the big companies. Let's talk to China, get them to stop pushing out too much emissions. Let's talk to the USA, ask them to stop pushing emissions. Don't ask the car driver and the taxpayer to pay for all this. because we're running dry, guys. We're running dry. You know, we're sending money abroad. We're bringing millions of refugees here that we can't afford to pay for. That there's nowhere to put them, and on top of all that, we're trying to crush the car driver, and all all paid for by our taxes. Yeah. Till next time.